welcome back. So this is Tilda, and as you know, we're going to take her to the fair this year. In fact, I might show her a couple of times. She is coming on a year old. She's a Gotland. We really haven't messed with her too much. Hi, Tilda. And we've got a rare warm day in January, so I decided I was going to show you guys today a little bit about how to get her desensitized and set up. So while Tilda is enjoying her grain, I'll just walk you through the basics of the halter. This is a simple rope halter for sheep. You can get them anywhere, Tractor Supply, online. They've got a clip at the end of them, and you'll see what we'll do with that, or you can probably guess. They're adjustable, and the nose piece adjusts as well. This is the easiest kind of halter to catch them with, but there are other halter options that So all I did was kind of loop it so that I could get it over her ears, and then it tightened up on its own, which is kind of nice. She's going to buck and fight and kick, which is expected. She's never had anything on her face, so a lot of this first time is just getting her used to that. I'm holding the end of it, but what I'm going to do is attach it to the fence. I train my sheep the same way that I train my horses, and when you're halter training, basically you want the animal to learn that when it gives to pressure, that release of pressure is the reward, right? So as long as I'm holding the end of the rope, she thinks it's something I'm doing to her. If I attach her to a stationary object like the fence and she fights, she learns that lesson a whole lot faster, and she doesn't associate it with me, because then she's fighting something else, and I'm not part of that equation. So what I've done is attached her to the post, and normally what I'll do is just kind of keep an eye on her, be close, but not necessarily mess with her, and see how she reacts. She may just stand there. She may flip out. I've had a lamb flip herself on her back and lay there like she was cast, but she wasn't. So we'll just give her a minute to think things through, figure it out. And all I'm going to do is walk up and make sure that I snug that halter down so it doesn't come off her face, which also happens, and that's okay too. We want this to be as low stress as possible for the whole time. I have two kind of mantras. One is the craziest things that my animals ever experience should come from me, because if they trust me, then when crazy things happen, well, for horses it was out on the trail, but really, at shows or anywhere you go, they're going to look to you for safety, and they're not going to be too worried about it, because they'll be like, yeah, I've been through this before. I've been through weirder stuff. And the second is we should always act like this is no big deal, right? This is something that happens every day. Pretty soon it's going to be something that happens every day. I want to really, really stress here, don't move on if you don't have the time and you're not in the frame of mind to be patient, okay? Because you need to be pretty much completely nonplussed by whatever this sheep throws at you. Remember, it's all new to her. It's like any other day. It's no big deal. And whatever antics and shenanigans she pulls, I'm not going to be bothered by it at all. I'm not going to get angry, stressed out. You're not going to get loud or big. So all I'm going to do is move a step and ask her to move. And I'm going to continue to put pressure there until she starts to move forward. The second she starts to move her body in my direction, I release that pressure completely. This is how you're going to set them up for the rest of their lives. So it pays to take your time. So here we go. We're just going to pull. Keep asking. Zeke's in the pasture now, so that's going to be an issue. And release. So the trick here again is completely nonplussed by whatever she does. This is still Tilda's first time. She's been on a halter for about 3 to 5 minutes, I think, at this point. So I'm just going to ask for movement and then release. That's right. Good girl. I'm going to ask, and the second she starts to move toward me, I'm going to release that pressure, okay? Let me show you again. Now she's following pretty good. All right. And I wish that she would calm down and graze a little bit, but that's all right. So now we're going to work, of course, on the leading on the halter. But right now, come on, Tilde. Good girl. Come here. Good girl. Okay, I'm going to show you the next step in this process, which is desensitization. So I've got her on a real loose lead here. But as the song goes, the judge will touch you all over and over and over and over again. So we want to make sure that she's cool being touched everywhere. And I do mean everywhere, right? So run your hand all the way around. That's okay. That's okay. Come back. We're going to scratch her under her chin. And we're going to check her teeth. Yeah. Run a finger in her mouth. Good girl. Check her ears. And this is just pretty good training, you know, general being able to handle your sheep, right? I don't have a very good angle here. There we go. All right. So she's kind of like, what's going on? This is a hand touching under the chin, up over her face. Remember, we're going to end up grooming her too. We're going to scratch down her chest and touch her legs and feet. Yeah, good girl. That's going to be really important later on. And we'll work down to this one. See, nothing bad's happening. Nice, loose. I'm not yanking on her or controlling her in any way. She's free to move away from me. Remember, this is a sheep that has not been handled very much. She's been to one festival where she could hide behind her mama. She's been sheared once last fall, and other than that, we've been pretty hands-off with her. So I've gone down one side. I'm going to move around her, and that's okay. And just as we're all kind of right-handed or left-handed, animals have a dominant side too. I'm not going to come up right behind her because that's a predatory thing. So we're just going to stand on this side and run our hands, tail, and around her dock, and her legs. Okay, so I'm asking, and there she goes. She turns around, and no pressure. That's one thing I don't particularly care for with these rope halters, is it's really hard to get the pressure just right, because once they move and pull against it, it kind of locks down and there's always pressure on their faces. So I might go get a different halter to work with her for step 3. So what I've done now is change to a goat halter. And these I like, any kind of buckle halter. Seidel sells some. You can get them on Amazon. There's an alpaca halter that fits Shetlands in particular really, really well with their short little noses. But a buckle halter, the advantage here is, of course, unlike the rope halter, it doesn't jam down on her face. So we're getting a more honest communication here. And I really like that she's chilled out a little bit. She's eating grass now. She's figured out the halter's not going to kill her. Being on her own isn't a bad thing. Being touched isn't a bad thing. And it would be okay if we left it here for today. But because I want to take as much advantage as possible of the nice weather, I'm going to harass her some more in a couple of minutes. And when I say minutes, I literally mean minutes. I mean, not even 5 minutes are passing between shots of training. So you can see her face is still a little bit too small for this halter, but it'll be perfect by the time she's ready to show at fair in August. Now this is why this setup is so important. I want her, even though initially the halter was uncomfortable and she doesn't particularly care for it, and obviously she would much rather have her freedom than do what I tell her to do, I want, when I come out with a halter, for Tilde to associate that with this exact thing here. Nobody else gets to graze on the grass outside the fence. And this is where the greatest store of winter grass, of course, is, where horses haven't been trampling it. So I want her to want to come out here. And then, you know, while she's chilled out doing her thing, I can do my thing. I can approach her. Yummy, yummy grass. Again, we've got a very slack halter here. Very slack lead rope. And just give her a little scratch. Don't start in one of those trigger zones. You know, don't walk up behind her. Don't immediately grab her belly. Start on the top and work down to her shoulder. And then we can scratch underneath. And see, she's not fussing or kicking. So she doesn't walk away from me, I walk away from her. She doesn't walk away from my hand, I stop petting her. And the dogs are out with us. And now I do want her to get used to me walking around and up next to my Tilde. And in front of her. This is going to be really important later. Again, we want to handle her from both sides. Same thing, just give her a little scratch. Scratch on the shoulder. And she doesn't stop eating, and that's a good thing. Scratch her under the belly. Over the dock. Scratch those feet. Good girl. Okay. So now we're going to move to the next step. You're going to step over her. Because in the ring, quite often, especially with the bigger sheep, you're not going to have... See, now she's stopped eating. She's like, what's going on? You're not going to have the benefit of a halter. You want to show them with a hand under their chin, and we'll work up to that. So right now, I've got a leg on either side of her, and I'd like to show you this from a distance. So, what we're going to do, hi Tilde, just let her know we're coming, step across her, and my knees are right behind her shoulders, and so from this position, I can squeeze down on her. If she goes forward, I've got control here. If she starts to go back, I've got control here, okay? When we show the sheep, we're gonna have a hand under the chin so that we have control of the animal's movement. And we're just gonna do the same thing we did before, just rub on her, love on her. Yeah. Eyes, ears, mouth, legs. And what we're going to do besides desensitizing her is teach Tilde how to set up. So you want to show your animal at their best advantage. And for sheep, that means we want her to be square. So to get her to be square in the front, we can pick up on both feet and set them down where we want them to be. She's trying to go forward on me. So I'm going to just put a little back pressure and she's relaxed. Okay. So from this same position, we're going to look back and check the back feet. Her back feet are pretty square right now. Good girl. And you want them to be, you know, just like a strong square yoga pose for you. You want her legs to be equidistant apart, right underneath, right? You want her to be, again, square, balanced. So we should see a point. She's set too far back here. Good girl. This is all new to her. We should see a line straight from her shoulder down through her knee and her toe. She's like, what are you doing? And the same in the back. She's too far back here. Okay, you want it to be your idea, not hers, to pull that foot back so you don't let go till she stops fighting. And then we set it down. And if you have a fight when you're starting out like this, it doesn't matter whether she sets it down square or not. The important thing is she's learning to pick up the foot when you and give to you and set it down when you choose for her to do that. So we're going to try again from this side. Pick up this foot and set it down and see how much better that was. And no fuss, no big deal. We're just hanging out. So it doesn't matter that she's eating right now either. This is the first day. This is all new. We're just getting her used to it. But that's all you're going to do for the next 30 days. You just want to teach her how to set up so that she's standing square. And you'll see that as time goes on, she'll look better and better. And I'll include some pictures of Legolas and Basil setting up as well from last year. That's really, honestly, all you need to know. If you can get her to lead on a halter and you can set up her legs so that she stands still for you, you can show a sheep. And I did that last year with yearlings in less than 6 weeks at 15 minutes or less a day. In fact, there were some days I didn't even get outside. So it's not a difficult thing to do. It's just repetition of very simple actions and being as patient as you can possibly be.